Across the Goal Line, a sports podcast, with your host, the Encyclopedia of Sports, Luke Austin. You can find Across the Goal Line at ATGL16 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and be sure to subscribe on YouTube. If you are placing an order for merchandise, please email acrossthegoalline2016 at gmail.com. Links to all those sites are in the description below. Without further ado, here's your host, Luke Austin. Yes, welcome to Across the Goal Line. I am your host, Luke Austin. NFL Week 8 predictions is coming up very, very shortly. I'll recap Week 7 and tell you how your team did. Preview Week 8, as I said, predictions for that. 6 teams on a bye this week. Arizona, Green Bay, Jacksonville, the Los Angeles Rams, the New York Football Giants, and the Tennessee Titans all have a bye this upcoming weekend, Week 8 of the 2017 NFL season, so they will not be playing. So if you're a fan of one of those 6 teams, or if you like all 6 of them, I guess you won't be watching football. Not unless you're a diehard fan like me that watches or tries to watch every game he can. So without further ado, I guess I will get into my Week 8 predictions. But first, like I said, I'll recap Week 7 here. Last Thursday night, the Raiders hosted the Kansas City Chiefs and gave the Chiefs their second consecutive loss as the Raiders scored with no time remaining, 0-0 on the clock, and won by a score of 31-30. I also thought that was the best game of this past week, so best game goes to the Chiefs and Raiders. Then on Sunday, the Dolphins defeated the Jets on a game-winning field goal, 31-28. The Bears defeated the Panthers. As I said, they would for the second straight week pick up a win. They defeated the Panthers 17-3. The Saints then defeated the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers-less Packers. Brett Hundley, he played decent, but now Green Bay Packer fans, now you know what it's like without Aaron Rodgers for the rest of your season. As he's been hurt before, but he's come back, and then they still went to the playoffs. Brett Hundley's been in the system 3 years. Like I said, he played decent. I thought he would have played better, for being in that system for a number of years. And, he didn't play good enough to pick up the win, though. Drew Brees and the Saints went to Lambeau and won 26-17. The Rams shut out Arizona across the pond 33-0. The Steelers defeated the Bengals Sunday afternoon 29-14 as Chris Boswell kicked, I believe, 5 field goals. The Dallas Cowboys then defeated the 49ers 40-10. Speaking of kicking field goals and extra points, Dan Bailey pulled his hamstring, so they had to go to somebody on the roster as they did not have a backup kicker. So safety Jeff Heath had to do kickoff duties, extra points, and field goals. He did not miss any of those, and kickoffs were good enough to have the Dallas Cowboy defense shut down the San Francisco 49er offense. So the Cowboys won 40-10. Now Ezekiel Elliott's 3 touchdowns obviously helped, but I thought that was pretty cool that they pulled a safety to go do some kicking for them in this game. You rarely see that. Rarely. The Seahawks defeated the Giants on the road 24-7, and then the Patriots defeated the Falcons 23-7 on Sunday Night Football. And Fog Bowl 2.0 on Sunday Night Football. The Falcons also disappointed me. They really couldn't blow a lead because they never had a lead in that game. But You could say the fog, had something to do with it, but they just didn't play well. So they disappointed. And then on Monday night, the Eagles defeated the Redskins by 10, 34-24. Biggest upset, I didn't think there was one. Impressed no one as well. And then I already went over best game, the Chiefs and Raiders, and then disappointing team for this past week. For week 7 would have been the Atlanta Falcons, in my opinion. This upcoming weekend, as I said, 6 teams are on a bye. Arizona, Green Bay, Jacksonville, the Los Angeles Rams, the New York Giants, and Tennessee. And then I believe, I have 10 games this week to pick from. Got another London game on the schedule as the Vikings play the Browns. Hopefully it turns out to be a good game, so especially the Browns can get some fans, whether they're overseas or not, as they are 0-7. Just lost Joe Thomas this past week. His consecutive snap streak has come to an end. He is done for the season. Career could be over. We'll have to see about that. Dolphins-Ravens on Thursday night. And then on Sunday night, you got the Steelers and Lions in Detroit, Michigan at Ford Field. And then Monday Night Football returns to Kansas City for the second time in about 3 or 4 weeks, I'd say. The Chiefs hosted the Redskins a couple weeks ago on Monday Night Football and won that game as well. So we'll have to see if they can pick up the win again this week on Monday Night Football. First, if you haven't already, in the intro, Cross Goal Line, all social media, go check it out. Links are in the description. Be awesome if you did go check all those out and let me know what you think. Dolphins Ravens, as I said, Thursday Night Football. I got to go with Baltimore in this game. I think their defense will win the game for them. Jay Cutler, he's going to be out a couple of weeks with a fractured rib. Matt Moore, a lot of people are saying, well, he should have been starting all season. Yet you go out and sign Jay Cutler to a 1-year, $10 million deal in the middle of the preseason, bring him out of retirement. And, he's played all right, but now he goes down with an injury. They could have saved money, and played Matt Moore, because Matt Moore played decent last week in relief for Cutler. Now he's going to be getting the start, the next couple weeks, maybe the rest of the season if he plays, good enough. To win the job for the rest of the year. But, we are only halfway through the year, so we will have to see about that. But I think Baltimore's defense gets after Matt Moore. He plays good. We've seen him play good before. Hell, he led the Dolphins to the playoffs last year until they lost to the Steelers in the wild card round. But I think Baltimore wins this game on Thursday Night Football. Should be a decent game. I know I'll be watching. There's probably not going to be anything else on. Minnesota then and Cleveland, as I said, are playing in London. This will be the fourth and last London game of the 2017 NFL season. I got to go with Minnesota. I don't believe the Browns have played in London before. If they have, I'm sorry, Cleveland Browns fans. You guys have sucked my entire life. So you guys have made the playoffs 1 year out of my 21 years here on this earth, and that was back in, I believe, 03 or 04. It's been so long, I can't remember. That's how bad the Browns suck, but I don't believe they've ever played a game in London either. If they have, like I said, I'm sorry, but the Vikings, they've played the Steelers in London back in 2013 and defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers. I remember that game pretty well. I remember Cordero Patterson returned a kick, and Adrian Peterson had a long-ass run and scored. Minnesota blew out Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh started coming back, but really couldn't get things going there late in the fourth quarter. And Minnesota beat Pittsburgh. I think they'll beat Cleveland. So, going across the pond, defeating two AFC North teams, a lot of people say the AFC North is one of the best divisions in the NFL. You know, uh, other than the Cleveland Browns, and that's who they're playing this week. So Minnesota defeats Cleveland. Oakland then goes to Buffalo. Uh, go go across the states there, cross country. Probably going to be a 1 o'clock kick. Don't have that in my notes here. More than likely going to be a 1 o'clock kick. So that's a 10 o'clock kick for Oakland. From being out west. I think Oakland will win. They played well last week in Derek Carr's. What was that? I think that was his first game back, or it might have been his second game back from his injury. As I said, they played on Thursday night last week, and then I can't remember who they played that Sunday before. Might actually been off, to be honest with you. Yeah, they might have been off. I can't remember. But they played pretty well in his return, if it was his return. I can't remember, like I said. They played pretty well against the Chiefs, if not the best team in the NFL going into that game. I don't think they are now. The Eagles are looking pretty hot, 6-1. Only losing to the Chiefs earlier in the season in Kansas City. So maybe we'll get a Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl. I don't think a lot of people would mind that. You got a rematch from earlier in the season. Andy Reid going up against Doug Peterson. Former staff members going toe to toe there, coaching against each other. We'll have to see. But Raiders, they beat, like I said, I thought the best team going into last week, the Chiefs. I know they scored on the last play of the game with no time remaining and won. They did have to kick the extra point, but they still won, beat them on their home turf. Buffalo, they're sitting at 4-2, I believe. Playing at home, had a big win a couple weeks ago on the road in Atlanta. Had a big win this past week. I think they have a little too much going their way. I think they take a step back. As I said, I think Oakland defeats Buffalo Sunday. San Diego also has to go to the East Coast, as they also play. You got two AFC West versus AFC East games back to back here. The Raiders and Bills in Buffalo, and then the LA Chargers. I can't remember if I just said San Diego. If I did, I'm sorry, Chargers fans. That's what I know them as. But the Los Angeles Chargers, they go to New England to play the New England Patriots. This game probably going to be a 1 o'clock kick as well. Normally is, unless the Chargers are, really, really hot going into the matchup. They're sitting at 3-4, winning 3 in a row. They started out 0-4. Now they got to go on the road to New England. It's Foxborough. Tom Brady is going to be Tom Brady. The Panthers, though, they did go into Foxborough a couple weeks ago and defeat the Patriots on a game-winning field goal, though. The Chargers, they've had kicking problems this year. They did get rid of the kicker that was having the kicking problems, brought back Nick Novak, who was there for a number of years, and then they started winning again. I really, really would like to take the Chargers, but I got to take the Patriots at home on Sunday afternoon. The Bears go to New Orleans to play the Saints. Rematch of the 2007 NFC Championship game, 2006 season, 2007 NFL NFC Championship game, as Rex Grossman and the Chicago Bears went toe-to-toe with Drew Brees and Reggie Bush of the New Orleans Saints. And the Bears won, ended up losing to the Indianapolis Colts 2 weeks later, losing to Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts 2 weeks later in Super Bowl 41 down in Miami. The Bears really haven't been the same since. They have gone to the playoffs since then. They did go back to the NFC Championship game, lost to Lost to the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, who ended up beating the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl 45. The Bears, Trubisky now, it seems like they, what's the right word I want to use, are, I guess, going in the right direction. They are, 2 wins in a row against the Ravens and Panthers. The Saints, though, Chicago's defense really isn't. They're decent. They're not good. New Orleans, Drew Brees, he'll throw all over them, especially playing inside in the Dome. Now, if it was outside in Chicago in the Windy City at the end of October, it'd be a different story. As Cam Newton found out last week, Eddie Jackson, first player in NFL history, if I'm not mistaken, to have 2 75-yard plus touchdowns on defense. Had a 75-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown and a 76-yard interception return for a touchdown. 1 year to the date that he broke his leg and didn't know if he was ever going to play football again. He played his college ball down in Tuscaloosa for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So he'll probably make some plays. Who knows? Hell, he'll probably get the start Sunday just because he, had those 2 big plays last week. But I think Drew Brees throws all over Chicago's defense and New Orleans wins. Falcons-Jets. Falcons got to get revenge from last week after losing to the Patriots for the second time in 8 months. So I think the Falcons defeat the Jets. The Texans then go to Seattle. This will be the Texans' first trip to Seattle in a number of years. First time Bill O'Brien is going to CenturyLink Field as a head coach. I think Seattle wins. The 12th man helps them out, and Seattle defeats Houston on Sunday. Should be a really, really good game, though. Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson going at it. Dallas then goes to Landover, Maryland to play Washington Redskins. Dallas, I think, will win. Washington, they played all right on Monday night against the Eagles. Had the Eagles right where they wanted them, but then they let them off the hook, as Dennis Green famously said. So Dallas, I think, wins. They run the ball better and pick up the win on the road. Pittsburgh then goes to Detroit on Sunday Night Football. Martavis Bryant situation, is getting a little out of hand. If he doesn't want to play, get rid of him, But if he wants to play, he's a really, really good player. The only thing I've seen, with him ever since he came into the league, it seems like he has an attitude problem. And, I think if you could change that, maybe put him in rehab or something like that. Maybe this is a heads up to him, that, they could, part ways with him here coming up. The trade deadline for the NFL is 6 days away on Halloween, the 31st of October. Today, the 25th, they did just demote him to the practice squad. So, like I said, maybe that's a heads up to him. Like, oh shit, I got to get my shit together. We'll have to see. I don't think it affects the team at all. Pittsburgh's that one team that, really always, if there's something off the field going on, involving a player, the team, rallies around it a little bit. Doesn't really, let it get to them that much. And, they still play well. And I think they'll do the same on Sunday. So I think Pittsburgh plays better than the Lions. It should be a shootout. Matthew Stafford and Roethlisberger. Both offenses are electric. Will put up a lot of points. But this game could also be a defensive showdown, so we'll have to see come Sunday night on NBC. But I'm obviously going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then Monday Night Football, as I said, returns to Kansas City for the second time this season as the Broncos travel to Arrowhead to play the Chiefs. The Chiefs are one of the best teams in the NFL at the moment. One of the best teams overall at home, no matter what year it is. Denver, they're sort of in a little slide right now. So I think Kansas City wins on Monday Night Football. This has been Across the Goal Line. I am your host, Luke Austin. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button down below, that thumbs up. If you disliked it, I could really give two shits, but you could still hit that thumbs down button if you wish. Subscribe if you haven't already as well, and then Across the Goal Line on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All links, my Instagram and Twitter links are also in the description below, so be sure to click on those if you haven't already. And also, if you haven't already, be sure to go watch or listen to, due to the fact this is a podcast, go listen to my Week 9 college football predictions. So like I said, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see everybody later.